Hey everybody, I'm here with Bart. Once again, we got great feedback from our Fibonacci video. The one thing, Bart, the guys say that I interrupt you too much. So I'm not going to interrupt you this time, I promise. And if I do, it's for a good reason. How do you feel about that?
You know, I couldn't even tell, and you're the man, and it's your show. You can interrupt me as much as you want, brother.
All right, well, I'll only interrupt you if I got a good question, right? It won't be for shits and
all your
giggles.
questions were good. All your questions were good.
All right, so one thing I wanted to dive in on is the vibrations, right? And sort of the rock falling in the lake, right? What do you call it?
Correct. The rock hitting the water, right?
Rock hitting the
primordial wave.
So one drops and then it trickles from there. You can see it in this visual here. Makes perfect sense. Everybody's seen it.
Yeah, yeah.
So what does that mean?
So well, first off, the other thing we talked about, remember the picture we had? Everybody who's a chartist needs to get a proportional divider. And if you remember that picture and the guy had it over the moon or the earth and everything, these things are what I make my arcs with and everything. And when you set them up, right, it's perfect for the Fibonacci sequence. So if I do my head and define it by my chin and my forehead, what you'll find now is this is the exact 0.618. So bam, goes to my mouth. Bam, goes to my eyes, my nose, 50%. These things are priceless. Proportional divider, go get yourself
proportional divider, just get on Amazon?
Amazon, anything. I actually, when I trained with Joe DiNapoli, DiNapoli levels back over a decade ago, he was selling these. They were like 15 bucks. I love them. Don't leave home without it.
Don't leave home without it. That's ridiculous. All right.
You're a chartist.
Okay, so all right. So toys aside, talk to me about the stone dropping in the water and then trickling from there. What does that have to do with the market?
Yep.
And how do we make money from that?
Perfect. So what we're looking at here is a chart of IWM monthly, and we took off everything, right? And so it's pretty easy to see. It's in an uptrend. You got higher lows. You got all that different stuff. But there's all these different market gyrations, right? And so why is the market moving this way? Why is it finding support in certain areas, resistance in certain areas? And then in the end, how can we make money from it? By putting together these patterns. And if you pay a little bit of attention to the video we showed, this looks very chaotic.
Well, let's show it. We haven't shown it. Let's show it right now.
Okay.
All right, let's show it.
So basically what you're going to be watching here is two things, right? First off, you have a vibrating plate, you have a vibrating surface, but it's not necessarily from a vibration perspective like random, it's certain frequencies, right? And then we randomly are throwing salt or any medium onto this plate. And as we hit certain frequencies, the chaos, right, that we think happens in the market, it actually morphs itself into a perfect form based on all the ratios we've talked about. So from vibration becomes form, right? In the chaos, there's actually patterns that exist. And if you take the time to put these patterns together and the puzzle together, then we can simply manage risk. Like I said last time, I'm right 100% of the time. Why? Because I know exactly where I'm wrong. So we're looking to trade at the completion of these patterns. And the market will give you opportunities where all the math lines up, the pattern lines up, and then you got to decide if I've done enough to manage the risk or not. So basically what we're showing is as these molecules that are just scattered randomly across, this vibrating disc or this vibrating plate, when they hit different frequencies, and notice as the frequency gets higher, it actually becomes very complex. The bottom line is everything we're looking at is governed by sacred geometry and the ratios we've talked about.
It's crazy.
Pretty crazy, right?
I mean, they make beautiful patterns.
Yeah. They're in fact, just to go down the rabbit hole a little bit, these patterns are actually based on the Platonic solids that were founded by Plato. And these Platonic solids, there's 7 of them. There's actually 8. One was added by Socrates. These Platonic solids are responsible for all creation in the universe. Those ratios that you see, these molecules, these sand molecules are vibrating and they're naturally, think about it, they're naturally going into a pattern that is perfect in geometry, form, and proportion. We said that last time. What's Elliott wave based on? Form, geometry, and proportion. It's all the same. So when we transition, JC, to the IWM monthly chart, Yeah, it's an uptrend and everything like that. But basically think of that chart as we've thrown the sand onto the vibrating plate, right? And now it's our job to find out what the frequency is that will be running IWM in this case. They're all different, right? And they're all like one technique doesn't work for GE, it doesn't work for BABA, right? You got to just take the time to figure out what's the frequency that's running it. And honestly, I just picked IWM randomly. So when we look at it, right, this is what I blogged as IWM was making the breakout. You can see that I was starting to establish targets, right? And those are the basic, right? Projections, extensions, retracements, right? And you can see the numbers that we're used to. In the case of an extended wave 3, it's not a rule, it's a guideline. It likes to have wave 5 equal wave 3. You can see that up there, right? So as this breakout was going, from a count perspective, and JC, we've talked about Elliott wave. I love Elliott wave when it works. Okay, that's supposed to bring out a laugh, right? But when you just can get on a monthly chart and count some Elliott waves and don't break the 3 rules, 2 can't go below the beginning of 1 or above if it's in a downtrend, right? 3 has to be the longest wave. And then the wave 4 correction can't go below or above the end of wave 1, right? It's all you really need to know. We have a valid count right here. So it does look like it's valid that a 5th wave was in progress. I'm saying was because we obviously went up and tagged this level. And, you know, why is this level so important? So this is when we start getting into the rock hitting the water. So just draw your eye to the left side and you can see that blue arrow, okay? Well, I didn't get really nitty gritty. I created the fundamental frequency. The fundamental frequency, and again, if you think about it, if you look at this chart, it took 5 years for that low to go up to 1 and then correct. It took 5 years for that to happen, right? So monthly fundamental frequencies are big deals, okay? And then if you look at the physics of waves, frequency of waves, wavelengths, and everything like that, the frequency of a wave, if you're ready for this, is equal to the velocity over the wavelength, velocity over lambda. That back in physics that we took in college, right? So
Sure.
what captured? Yeah, okay, right. I was a math major, but the only reason I did it, I didn't want to do English. I didn't want to write papers.
Listen,
I didn't want to have to learn a language, and I didn't want to do labs. And the guy said, be a math major. And
I would
my God,
collect the cash so that everybody would pitch in so we can get a keg, and I would be the guy collecting the cash. That was the extent of my.
And that's why you're a great businessman, right? Did you pocket a little bit? 20% went to you, right?
No, man,
anyway.
I was usually the one paying the most. Me and a couple of guys were always fronting, and everybody's like, "Yeah, well, I got $5." All right.
So you could get Jobel, right? A big keg of Jobel. Goebbels, remember that?
No,
Red, white, and blue.
you're a little older
You know?
than I am. We were drinking
Come on,
Natty
man.
Light back then. I mean, this is
Natty
20-some
Bo.
years ago.
Yeah, I know Natty Bo.
Natty Light, and what was the other one? PBR.
Jobel's.
PBR. That was Boku
But
Dolores
PBR's making a comeback. Can you believe it? It's crazy.
They were making a comeback 20 years ago. Apparently, we were buying it for our parties. I think it was like 40 bucks for a keg.
For the Navy.
Dude, it was like 40 bucks for a keg. Are you kidding me?
JC, when I was flying fighters for the Navy, we went over to London for this 10-week detachment, which was professional. And I was shocked. Do you know what the #1 beer in London was at that time? And it was like huge. You know, like if you're drinking this, you're like, whoa, you're kind of, you know, like you like your wine. Go ahead for the audience. Do your pinky for me, please. Do the pinky. There you go. It was Budweiser. Budweiser.
Budweiser's European now. It's not even American. All right, so hold on. Let's not get off
track
track
from
here.
Indian. So
let's not get off track.
Anyway,
you and I, we both have really bad ADD. So hold on. So talk to me about this IWM. We're looking at the 5 waves, classic, like you said, same way we studied them. So okay, great. So you get an extension target. It hit that target. So then what? Like you just take profits. You look for shorts.
Yes, right. So if you look at this chart, and I posted this on my blog, right? The big thing is it's a rocket ship from wave 4 at 96 bucks, right? So let's don't be idiots and just short it, you know, and jump in front of the train. Wah! You know, so we wait for a signal reversal candle. And what that is, the candle that makes the high, when the low of that candle is taken out, it's like an inside day, outside
Yeah.
day, right? When the low of that candle is taken out, then that is your signal, which in this case was about 206, right?
Right.
But what we're focusing on is the traditional, right? Technical analysis of projections, extensions, and retracements. They gave us an idea that this level was important. When you step up or down a level into the rock hitting the water, you really understand at a whole nother
So this
level.
is the next
Wow,
chart, right? This is the next chart we're
That's
looking
correct. That's correct. So,
at. Okay, so
but all I
so
want,
this is the vibrations, those circles.
it'll be there. Yeah, they're not seeing it yet, but yes. But I wanted to show this chart first because this was the first look at the low to the high at 1, and you divide those two numbers, and that's what produces the fundamental frequency. All right. So
Tell me
in
again. The high
okay,
of
yep,
wave 1.
the high of wave 1. Hold on, step back. Frequency of a wave, right, equals velocity over lambda, right? Lambda is equal to wavelength.
Okay.
So basically, a frequency of a wave is dividing velocity over wavelength.
Okay.
The low and the high at 1 are numbers, okay, that compose or have the velocity and the wavelength in them, right? We have time, we
So
have
it's the
a
low.
price
So it's
movement.
the low from, hold on, the low from May of 2000 to
Yeah.
the high, which was in 2007.
Correct.
Right. So you take,
Yep.
what do? You take the high minus the low and then divide by 2.
Divide. No, you divide the high into the low.
Got it. It's the
And
ratio.
you get 2.6875.
Got it.
Right.
Got it.
That's your fundamental frequency. And that's what we'll go for.
Got
now, the other thing I remember we were talking earlier, I don't know if you want to move to your left so they can see the book underneath your cigar box, the Sacred Geometry book. Yes, sir. See, I told you you're going there. If you look at the bottom right of this chart, that picture of the spiral of the shell is basically what the Gann square of 9 is all about, right? It's a logarithmic calculator.
You know who gave me this? Brian Shannon. Shout out Brian Shannon gave me this book.
Yeah, Brian. We got to meet. So JC, the bottom right is the Gann square of 9. And all I'm showing is a lot of people do it right, do it wrong. But if you put 32 in the middle of the Gann square of 9, it will spiral out these numbers. And on the 90-degree axes, we got to pay attention, the other 45. So what I'm showing is where the green highlights are on the square of 9 calculator are directly equal to the dash red lines as targets.
Okay.
And so what I'm trying to show is as we're getting up into that target area of 228 to 231, we had a very powerful Gann square of 9 target also. So we're building.
And why is it the square of 9 and not the square of another number?
Because there's 9 numbers that started out. And we start out with the numbers 1 through 9. That's really all that exists, right?
Got it.
So that's why it's called that. Good question.
So 0 is not a number that exists? Why 0 is like Pluto, it gets kicked out?
Most Pluto still works, but yeah, we don't worry about it. It's 1 through 9.
Isn't Pluto like a moon now?
So here's when, we get to the crux of the matter, right? And so we'll post these charts. People are just going to have to look at them and study them, right?
Yeah.
But what I do is I get really, now when I'm really trying to, zero in on a level, the last time I calculated the fundamental frequency, I said 86 and 32. Now I'm using the exact 85, 35, 32, 13. You divide them, you get the 2.626, right? And now we're going to project. So I project that fundamental frequency. I multiply it by the high at 85, 35. And what do I get? 227, right where IWM is stopping. Let that sink in.
All right, we're going to walk through this again so I can look in there. All right. So let's walk it through it slowly one more time.
Yep. So this entire discussion is about the rock hitting the water.
Right.
At the bottom left on 10/10/2002,
Yep.
the low was 32.13.
Okay.
And then it rockets up to 85.35. And then we have a nice.
Why are we using October? Why are we using October the 10th and not using May the 22nd?
Because that's the low.
What was the low?
10/10/2002, 32.13.
Got it. Okay. So then why are we focused on May in the prior?
Because that was the IPO, and you can spin out cycles from the IPO also.
Got it.
But in this case, yeah, good question. But in this case, per our last talk, we were specifically going to focus on the rock hitting the water.
Got it.
So
Okay.
that's why
All
I'm
right.
using that
Fair.
chart.
All right. See, I'm keeping up.
Yep. So on the bottom right, you can see how we calculated the fundamental frequency.
Yes.
We took 8535 and divided it by 3213. And also shout out to Michael Jenkins of stockcycleforecast.com. He taught me this method. I've taken it a whole nother level, but Michael's great. And
You tend to do that, Bart.
well, that's all right. Right. So we get that fundamental frequency of 2.626 numbers.
Yep.
All right. Now, to make a price projection, what we do is we multiply the fundamental frequency by the high at 85.35, and we get basically 227, where the market stopped.
Talk to me about these
Arcs.
the circles.
So now we'll go to that next. It's called musical polarity. Okay. We see, right, the market moving, right? And with polarity, normal polarity, support becomes resistance, resistance becomes support. In the case of musical polarity, if you will, what I'll do is if you go up from the low, 1.1225, 1.4142, 1.61820, those are the ratios that I've done to project the waves that happen after that rock.
But why 1.225?
Because if you look, it's exactly hitting resistance in that 2009 timeframe. You
Right.
see how the market respected that arc?
Yep.
So now I'll roll it up to the 12 o'clock position, and I know the market should respect it.
And then where does 1.414 come in?
So follow the arc down. You see how the market banged into it and respected it?
Yeah.
Polarity will say at the top of the circle, it'll respect it again, which it did. See that horizontally go from 1.412?
I'm just not sure. Are you figuring out the numbers based on resistance and then?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, fine, but
yeah. All I'm trying to show is that rock hitting the water, 32 to 85, is going to produce waves. And so we're using basically the concept of polarity. From a timing perspective, I'm trying to project these arcs out using the ratios, the golden mean, sacred geometry, music to find support.
I know. And sorry, Bart, I'm not good at this.
Okay.
I'm doing the best I can, but I'm trying to really figure this out. I don't understand where the numbers are coming from. Like I get, okay, so the first we got from the low to the high. I get that. So then that's 1.0. But then 1.1225 is figured out by you based on that next resistance level, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So then where does 1.4142 come in? Also because there was resistance there?
Follow the arc down. Follow the 1.4142 arc down. The brown arc. See the top at 1.4142?
Yes.
Follow that brown arc down,
right.
down, and look what the market did. It respected it.
Right. So you decided that it was 1.4142?
Yeah, but I'm not looking at the vertical. I'm not looking at the top. I'm looking at what the market's respecting.
No, I get that. Okay, so then you decided that 1.1225 was the level. Then you decided that 1.4142 was the level. Then where does 1618? That number is familiar to me.
Yes. So look at 1.618. Now follow the arc down and look how much it respected it.
So then so what's the point of the first two then? Oh, because you're going horizontal after that. Got it.
Correct.
Oh,
correct.
Got it.
Now the key here with
1.618 is hold on. So you're seeing where the resistance is, and then that way you can time it out. Got it. Understood now.
Now, you see where the 1.618
I'm a little slow,
is?
Bart.
You're not, dude. No, I know this is. I told you this was going to blow.
But I get it now. Got it. So based on where that is, then you project time.
Correct.
Got it.
And price. But look at 1.618 arc, JC. Look at how the market precisely fell down on it.
So then in the Saturn 226, there's no arc though.
I'm going to get there.
Okay,
You're getting ahead of me.
Am I stealing your thunder?
No, but look at the 1.618 arc. Look at it horizontally, right? The market blew through, but guess what it did? It came back and
okay. So then why do you have 2.0 if there was no resistance there?
Actually, go 2.0.
Yeah.
And follow it down. There's just a little.
Oh my God! Now you're just cherry picking.
I knew you were going to say that. There's no cherry picking going on at all.
Come
2.0
on.
always works.
Okay,
Add
so
the
then how
above,
come you
so
didn't use
below.
the resistance in between the 2.0 and the next one? There was
I could.
resistance there. You didn't cherry pick.
I could. 2.0 works all the time. You know when you do the arcs? That's a 2.0 arc. It's one you use all the time. But anyway, again, the rock hit the water, it created the waves. It creates the resistance as this market's going up. You can take that resistance that's occurring, roll it up to the horizontal, and come across and come up with very powerful support and resistance levels, right? The other thing from a timing perspective, we know that the 226, right, is a big deal. So we're actually squaring out time. So from the all-time low at 10/10/2002, it's 226 months in August.
I got to tell you, Bart, you know, I usually look at you like you're completely full of shit, and then like you keep talking to me, and like I trust you. I mean, for me, you gained my trust decades ago, so like you don't have me to convince. I'm just mostly
not about
interested.
Trust. People are going to believe it or not. From another timing perspective,
That was a good explanation. Is my point. You did.
Oh, thank you.
Like that even makes sense to me. And like me, like I'm really slow when it comes to me. I look at pictures all day. Like all this math to me is like, whoo.
Well, once you start going down the rabbit hole, right? The other thing, take a look at it from that 10/10/2002 low. Saturn, again, based on when July 4th, 1776, based on
hold on. What you're telling me where Saturn was on July the 4th of 1776 is why small cap stopped going up?
Saturn has a lot of effect on the markets. Let's just leave it at that.
Oh my God.
All right.
Is this the next video? Next video.
We can do that. So from 10/10/2002, Saturn moved 226 degrees helio, right when we had the big.
What is helio?
So there's two. There's geocentric, heliocentric. Geocentric's Earth-centered. That's when you get retrograde motion, and it's hard. Heliocentric is sun-centered. That's the true movement. You're not going to get retrograde motion or anything like that.
Got it.
But again, this 226 number is so key, right? So it moved 226 degree helio. On the right side is a simple Excel spreadsheet. I put the low, $32.13, right? And then I multiply the low by 1.04956, equal octave scale of music. Excuse me, every 12 numbers, it's a new octave. 228, 229, we completed a third octave at the level of IWM, right? So I think we're showing our, our listeners, hopefully people are.
I'm not getting the octave. We're going to have to do that one again. Maybe not today. We'll save it for another video.
All right.
I think we got a lot though.
Quick. Oh my God, we got tons. That's what I'm trying to say, right? You wanted to talk about the rock hitting the water.
Yeah.
I'm showing you how that number of 226 is coming together in 11 different ways, at the current level for IWM. Now, do we know which way IWM is going? Absolutely no clue. However, if it pops higher, wait, and it's going to bounce off that level and rocket ship.
Right. So you're saying, so it's a big level. It's a level of interest is like what we like to say. So if we're to break out above that level, that would be incredibly bullish. Ultimately, one day in the future, maybe in a few months, maybe in a few decades, who knows? If we're back at those levels, look for support.
Correct. Right? So people are like, why is IWM hung out for 8 months? We just showed you 13 reasons why mathematically it is. It has nothing to do about the P&E and all that crap. Sorry. When people start talking fundamentals, I get confused. I'm not smart enough to know that stuff. But I just wanted to focus us on the rock hitting the water. And that's that initial impulse move. Use a monthly or a weekly. Calculate it. It's easy. And then everything spins out from that. And that's what I was trying to show.
Dude, that was a hell of a job, Bart. Thank you for that. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, dude. We're gonna have fun, man.
Right.
So good, man. We're gonna change the world.
So good. It feels good now. Make sure to jam it in the hood loud.